Suppose that you need to catalog this book. You search Spark and find a good match. To attach your item, click the Add Holdings button. The Holdings editor is divided into three areas: the Holdings tab, the Item Attributes tab, and the Preferences tab. We start off at the Holdings tab. First, click in the area beneath Call Number Label and type in the call number for what you are cataloging. Next, click in the space beneath Barcode and scan or type in the appropriate barcode. If the MARC record uses monograph parts, you have the option of selecting one. To do so, click the drop-down box under Part and make your selection. You have the option of adding more than one call number at a time. To add an extra call number, click the plus icon here. And to remove that additional call number, click the minus icon. In the same way, even if you're only doing one call number, you can still add multiple barcodes to that single call number. To do this, click the plus icon, and to remove, click the corresponding minus icon. The next tab over is the Item Attributes tab. This is where you specify all of the details like how much an item costs, where the item is shelved, how long the item should circulate, and so on. In a few moments we'll go through all of these in great detail, but first let's take a look at the final tab, the Preferences tab. If there are certain areas on either of the first two tabs that you never use, you have the ability to hide those unused areas by clicking checkboxes somewhere on this screen. Most of the options here should be self-explanatory, and I don't think we need to go through them. There is one thing, however, that I would like to point out. In previous versions of Evergreen, Holdings Details and Item Attributes were all on the same screen, not broken up into two tabs. If you want to switch things back to that, you can do that by going to Unified Holdings and Item Attributes Display. Now keep an eye on the three tabs at the top of the screen. When you click the relevant checkbox, the number of tabs switches down from 3 to 2. And if we then click on Holdings, we see that all of the item attributes are listed right here below. For the rest of our walkthrough, I'm going to move back to the default state by going over to Preferences and unclicking that checkbox. But getting back to the Item Attributes tab, attributes are divided up into 5 different columns: identification, location, circulation, miscellaneous, and statistics. We will take a closer look at each of these columns now. First, the identification column. The only attribute here that you will need to look at least when you're attaching new holdings records, is copy status. By default, this will come up as in process, which makes sense, I think. Normally, after you're finished creating a new item record for a book or DVD or whatever, it still needs to go through other steps before it's ready for the public to have it. If you want to change that copy status to something else, you can do that by clicking where it currently says In Process, then click over here to open a drop-down menu, scroll through and make your selection, and finally click the Apply button. We see when an asterisk appears that a value has been changed. The selection right below there, Barcode, will automatically be filled in with whatever barcode you entered a few moments ago. And all of the other values will be automatically generated, so you don't need to worry about entering anything there. The next column over is Location. We will try to be as brief as possible as we go over the rest of these. So, shelving location. This is the specific place in the circulating library where the item lives, basically. Circulating library and owning library. These will control what location, branch, or building an item circulates out of, and what location, branch, or building an item belongs to, respectively. Copy number on volume. If you use copy numbers, this will be filled in automatically, and if you don't use copy numbers, you can just ignore this area. Column number 3 is Circulation. Can circulate controls whether an item can be checked out by a patron. In most cases, leave this set to Yes. Is holdable. Leave this set to Yes, unless you don't want people to be able to place holds on your item. Age hold protection controls whether holds can immediately be placed on an item right after it is cataloged. Floating group. If your item is part of a floating collection, you can note that here, setting it to float at either your local system-wide level or at the Spark-wide level. Loan duration can be set to short, normal, or extended. Combined with circ modifier, this will dictate how long the item may be checked out for. Fine level. In combination with circ policies, this will control how large of a fine is imposed for overdue charges. Circulation type mark. Leave this unset. And circulation modifier. This affects the base rules that control how long an item is checked out for. Select the appropriate value: book, audiobook, DVD, etc. The fourth column is miscellaneous. Item alerts are a special kind of item attribute. We will share details about them in the second half of this course. Is deposit required and deposit amount. Use these if you want patrons to leave a deposit before checking something out. Price. This is how much you paid for the item, or how much you want patrons to be billed if they lose or damage the item. Opaque visible. Just leave this set to yes. Is reference. Unless your item is for in-house use only, leave this set as no. cost. This attribute used to be known as acquisitions cost. If your library paid a certain price for an item, but you want patrons to be billed a different amount if they lose the item, you would put the amount that you paid for the item here. Is mint condition. The default value here is good, but you can also select damaged. If your item has physical damage, but you choose to keep it in your collection, you can note that here. And the fifth and final column is statistics. Item tags and item notes, similar to item alerts, these are special kinds of item attributes. We will go into more details about them after intermission. StatCat filter. We recommend you just set this to your local Spark location shortcode. And everything beneath. These attributes all have to do with statistical categories. Check with your supervisor about local policies for these. Ultimately, once you have entered everything and set all of the values, go to the bottom of the screen and click Apply All, Save, and Exit. This is very, very important. If you fail to do this, you will lose all of your work. Not good. If you refresh the view of the record in your browser, your new holding will be listed.